Hello there. Just trying to finish some of my reading before the end of the year. As you can see, we are in front of my bookshelf, which is, as you can guess, is where I keep most of my books. Figured it would make for a nice change of pace instead of recording in front of my collection of movies, mainly because I'm in the process of reorganizing them, whereas I've just barely reorganized my bookshelf, and thus it looks a bit more presentable. If you're wondering why I'm speaking a bit more quietly, it's because it's actually kind of late at night at time of recording, and my bedroom is actually really close to both my mother's and my younger siblings' bedrooms, and so I don't want to keep them up with my ramblings. But I figured, and this idea literally just came to me even after I had sent out the tweet about how my back had been hurting and I hadn't been able to shoot, which is true. That's why I'm having kind of a nice quiet night. I decided, well, this seemed like an interesting topic to have, thus the title of the video. At time of recording, I have been in the workforce, I'd say, for about, not counting my current job, I'd say I've been working normal jobs for, I'd say about, I think, little over 5 years or so. As such, in my experience, you'd think that I would get a better understanding of what it's like to be an adult. But honestly, I feel just as confused about being an adult now that I did when I first, well, when I first started college, when I first graduated college. There are things about being an adult that I still do not understand. So, what this video is me reaching out into the ether to see if there is someone who is willing to explain some of this confusing stuff to me in a way that people who aren't in the know can actually understand. Because honestly, I don't get it. I'm sure I'm not the only one, so let's dive right in, shall we? Now, I'm going to start with a minor one because I've had this explained to me and I know it's important, but honestly, what's the deal with 401ks? I mean, when you first get employed at a company that is paying you a decent wage, you then hear about like 401k like contributions, IRA, stuff like that, and I still have a hard time understanding it. I mean, to the best of my knowledge, your employer takes money that you've earned and invests it in the stock market, and somehow that's supposed to help you with retirement. I've had it explained to me, but honestly, I still don't quite understand and I still don't quite get it. And so, if there's anyone who is a bit more financially literate that can basically explain this to me like I'm a 5-year-old, I'm all ears because I get those statements. I understand the basic idea of, oh, you maximize your contribution and then your employer matches the contribution. And then at that point, I'm just like, I guess that's a good thing, but I still don't quite entirely understand how it works and why I should actually care. I mean, yeah, I understand, oh, but you gotta save for your retirement. So then why don't I just take the money that my employer would put on the stock market and then just put it into a retirement account? I mean, there's less risk. You're not having to risk like losing that money on any random stock adventure that is decided without your input, and you're basically paid interest on it instead of waiting to cash out. So I kind of don't really see the pros and cons of doing a 401k as opposed to just setting aside money as you earn it. Like I said, I don't get it. If someone can explain it to me in a way that makes sense, I'm all ears, but at this point, with how long I've been in the workforce at present, which I admit hasn't been for very long, it's still something that just doesn't quite make sense to me. Another thing I don't really understand, the appeal of drinking alcohol. Again, this could be just due to my own personal life experience, but in a very sharp contrast to the rest of the siblings in my family, I just don't see the appeal. I mean, I hear people tell these stories about all these weird things they did while drunk, and I honestly just don't see how that's supposed to be fun. I mean, why is the fact that you drank this concoction that not only damages your body but also impairs your judgment, and then doing something stupid like trying to jump off of a shelf onto a coffee table and then acting surprised when you accidentally break your leg, or binge watching an anime series and then having it devolving into people making out with each other? I don't get it. I don't get the appeal. Now, I understand there are some people who are connoisseurs of different types of liquors. You've got a craft beer scene in Utah because somehow that is a thing in Utah, the land of, well, Mormons. But then there's also people who are connoisseurs of things like wine, which there's a bit of a storied tradition to it. I mean, particularly in Italian and French cuisine, and probably other cuisines throughout Europe, pairing the wine you paired with your dish is kind of a big deal. And so there I can kind of get the cultural aspect. But the thing that I just don't understand is the appeal of going to bars, getting beers, and just drinking. And I just don't get it. Is it a social thing? Is it a cultural thing? I mean, I'm pretty sure it's probably a social thing because usually it's with large groups of people, since the type of people who tend to drink by themselves aren't usually the happiest. And so that's just another thing I don't understand about being an adult. That's why to this day I've never partaken of any alcoholic beverage. I mean, the closest I would say would be a thing of butterbeer my older brother made, but that was after he had boiled out all of the alcohol, so there was no alcoholic content because it got evaporated. It tasted okay, but again, that's just something I just don't quite get, is the appeal of alcoholic drinks. Now, like I said, I understand there are some cultural reasons, especially if you're someone who's into particular types of cuisine, but beyond that, I don't get it. I don't see the appeal of just ingesting something that is clearly bad for you, which I understand, all good things in moderation, but even then, the cons of drinking alcohol just kind of far outweigh the pros in my opinion. But again, that's just me. And this leads into something that I've never really understood about being a working adult, and it honestly was something that was a point of contention at one of my previous jobs, although there was a whole lot to unpack with that previous job that I still can't quite wrap my head around. And that's the idea of holiday parties at workplaces. Now, I understand. It's something, at least the logic is that you're trying to boost morale in your workplace. You want to make sure that the people under your employ want to work for your company. But at the same time, I'm just baffled because, especially if you're someone who you come in, you do the job you're paid to, you do it well, you try to be a contributing, productive member of the team. Why is that not enough? I mean, I understand that they maybe want to get to know you a little bit outside of work, but at the same time, what part of that actually benefits how you do your job? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember at one of my previous jobs, there was this whole big hype about this company holiday party at this hotel where there was liquor going to be served. I saw no appeal in attending, and so I didn't go, and people were giving me crap for it, and I just don't get it. I came in, did my job, tried to be a productive member of the team. That should be enough when working any job, so why does the fact that I don't want to attend a holiday party suddenly something that counts against me? If you're an employer at a company who manages these large amounts of people, I really would appreciate the perspective on this, because I can only understand it from a perspective of someone who was a temporary worker in an attempt to hire a position that didn't get hired due to a lot of factors, but I'm curious. If you're an employer who runs these large companies and you host these like holiday parties and these events, what's your perspective? What does it say to you about an employee who, although they do their job as well as they can and they are productive, the fact that they don't participate? What does that say about them in your eyes? I definitely would like to know, because from the employee perspective, I just don't see the purpose. So that's kind of just me ranting at the camera for another day, talking about things that I don't understand about being an adult despite being an adult. I mean, there's probably a lot more that I could have gone into detail, but I found myself starting to ramble, so I'm gonna cut it here. I mean, what do you guys think? Am I just crazy? Am I dumb? Is there just something I'm missing here? Let me know. I really would appreciate any sort of feedback or insight. But for now, well, it's getting pretty late. I should probably wind down and get back to bed, or go to bed. That's how late it is. I can't do words. So, yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you for another year-end vlog, either tomorrow or later today, as many as I can make before the new year comes in.